Who was Merlin? Merlin is often thought of as a wizard, you know, the guy with the long beard, a pointy hat, and a magical staff. But Merlin's story is much deeper and more mysterious than that. His character appears in many ancient myths, but most of what we know about him comes from the Arthurian legends, a collection of tales about the legendary King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. In these stories, Merlin is usually depicted as a wise, magical advisor who helps Arthur rise to power and guides him through challenges. But the cool thing about Merlin is that he's not just your average wizard. He's a prophet, a mystic, and someone who seems to know things about the future, the world, and magic that no one else does. The origin of Merlin, a blend of myth and mystery. The story of Merlin starts way back in the Dark Ages, around the 5th or 6th century, and he comes from a mix of Celtic myths, early British folklore, and later medieval literature. This means his character was shaped over time by different cultures and storytellers. Geoffrey of Monmouth's influence. One of the first people to really give us a clear picture of Merlin was Geoffrey of Monmouth, a Welsh writer from the 12th century. In his book Historia Regum Britanniae, The History of the Kings of Britain, Geoffrey told the story of Merlin's life, combining bits of Welsh mythology with new elements he invented. It's here that Merlin first appears as a magical figure who predicts the future and plays a key role in Arthur's birth. A child of prophecy, in one version of the story, Merlin's birth is a magical event in itself. He's not born in the usual way, he's said to be the son of a demon and a mortal woman. Some legends say he's the child of a nun who was tricked by an incubus, a demon, making Merlin a half-human, half-demon being. Because of his unusual parentage, Merlin has special powers that no one else possesses. Merlin's magical powers. What makes Merlin so special in the Arthurian tales? Well, it's his magic. Merlin is often depicted as a master of prophecy, able to see into the future and predict major events. He can also control nature, summon storms, and shapeshift into different animals or forms. He has deep knowledge of ancient rituals, the stars, and the forces of the natural world. Some stories even describe him as a druid, a member of the ancient Celtic priesthood, known for their magical abilities. He can see the future. One of Merlin's most famous abilities is his power of foresight. He predicts the rise of King Arthur, the downfall of Camelot, and other significant events. His prophecies help guide Arthur, but they also come with warnings about the future. Nothing is ever truly set in stone. He's a shape-shifter. In many stories, Merlin has the power to change his form. He might turn into an animal, a tree, or even disappear into thin air. This ability connects him to the magical traditions of the Celtic Druids, who were said to have control over the natural world. Merlin and King Arthur. Merlin's life is most famous for his role in helping King Arthur come into existence and guiding him through his reign. The conception of Arthur. One of Merlin's most well-known roles is in Arthur's conception. In some versions of the story, King Uther Pendragon, Arthur's father, falls in love with the beautiful Igraine. But there's a problem. Igraine's husband, Duke Gulwar, is alive. Merlin, using his magical powers, helps Uther disguise himself as the Duke, so he can secretly be with Igraine and Father Arthur. This clever trick leads to the birth of the legendary king. Merlin's mentor role. As Arthur grows up, Merlin serves as his mentor. He's the one who guides young Arthur, teaches him about leadership, and helps him prove he is the rightful king of Britain. In one of the most famous scenes, Merlin helps Arthur pull the magical sword Excalibur from the stone, a task that only the true king can accomplish. The Round Table. Merlin also plays a crucial part in the creation of the Round Table, where Arthur's knights gather. He helps establish the values of chivalry and honor that guide the knights in their quests. The tragic end of Merlin. Despite all his power, Merlin's life isn't without tragedy. His downfall comes when he falls in love with a powerful enchantress named Vivian, also called Nimue in some versions. Vivian, a skilled magician herself, learns Merlin's magical secrets. In some stories, she becomes jealous of Merlin's power, while in others, she simply becomes bored with him. Eventually, she traps him using his own magic, either locking him away in a cave, tower, or tree. Some versions say Merlin is bewitched by Vivian and falls into an eternal sleep, while others say he is trapped forever by magic. In this way, even the greatest wizard of all time couldn't escape the dangers of love, betrayal, and his own mystical powers. Merlin's legacy. Even though Merlin's life ended tragically, his influence on Arthurian legend, and on the idea of magic itself, has lived on for centuries. His story has inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows, from classic literature to modern films like The Sword in the Stone and Merlin, the BBC series. Merlin symbolizes wisdom, mystery, and the power of the unknown. His story is a blend of ancient myth, magic, and human flaws, making him one of the most enduring and fascinating characters in mythology. Outro. So, there you have it. From his mystical birth to his role as a guide for King Arthur, Merlin's life is filled with magic, mystery, and powerful lessons about the forces of fate and free will. Whether you see him as a wise old wizard or a tragic figure of magic, Merlin continues to captivate our imaginations, showing us that sometimes, even the greatest of wizards can be defeated by love, betrayal, and their own powers. What do you think of Merlin's story? Would you want to be as wise and magical as him, or do you think his life was too dangerous? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating tales from mythology and legend.